All right, guys, we're back with a new lesson on exploration. And I'm going to call this one Contact with a, and in quotes, New World. Let's get started. First of all, let's go back a little bit and talk about why Europeans were exploring. Remember, they were exploring to try to cut out the middleman and get goods cheaper for trading. Remember, Bartholomew Diaz made it to the tip of Africa, and that started some trade routes between places here in West Africa and South Africa here. Um, then we have Vasco da Gama, who actually made it around the tip of Africa and into India. So again, that starts the Portuguese and Portugal with setting up different trade routes all along Africa, and we're going to talk about those in the couple weeks to come, and East Africa, and then in India. So now let's see what happened after that. Well, the Europeans here, some people figured if they sailed west far enough, they could come around the Earth and end up here in the Spice Islands and in China, which is a pretty good theory. Most people, almost all people, for a long time believed that the Earth was round. This wasn't a new theory. Most people during the time knew the Earth was round. There was one thing that they were missing here, though. But again, the theory was, okay, we can go around Africa, which is pretty tough, and get to India. Well, why can't we just sail west, go around the Earth, and end up here and get all those goods for cheaper prices, which is a pretty good theory. So we have a man here named Christopher Columbus who really wanted to get a sponsor or sponsors for his trip. And he talked to uh, King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella and got sponsored to go on his journey west to circumnavigate. That means go around the earth and end up in the Spice Islands or in China, in that area, so they could have a quicker trade route. So he made his calculations and he set off on his journey, hoping to sail across the vast ocean and end up here in the East Indies. However, there's a problem. He miscalculated the Earth by a third and did not know that there were two very large continents sitting here in his way. So Christopher Columbus set off on his journey, hoping again to reach the East. With a little bit of a miscalculation, he ended up here in what are now known as the West Indies. They're called the West Indies because he believed that he was going to end up here in the East Indies. Even that's where we get the term Indians. People of Native American descent are not from India. That was that term. They thought they were coming from either the Indies Islands, India. So that's where the term Indians comes from in North America, and also the West Indies. That's where he thought he was. He made a big mistake because he thought he was here. However, that mistake had some repercussions. First thing is he discovered a new world. And again, that's in quotes because I'll explain on the next slide. In this new world, he found that there were already people there. If you remember, we did a whole unit on a lot of the people in Mesoamerica and in South America. But he wasn't necessarily the first to make it to North America and the West Indies. The Vikings made it farther to North America and Newfoundland. There are theories that Chinese explorer Zheng He actually made it to the New World, or at least he could have. There's a theory that that happened. There are theories that West Africans actually came before anybody to the New World. And as we studied, we at least know the heavy populated Maya, the Aztec, the Inca, along with all of the other civilizations, were already in this new world that was discovered, along with millions and millions of people living between South and North America. But again, this was new to the Europeans. They didn't know it existed, so they called it the New World. Once Columbus discovered or landed on erroneously on the New World, it did open up lots and lots of other explorations. We have a flood of people coming, especially in the beginning from Portugal and from Spain to the New World. And Portugal and Spain really, in the beginning, ended up coming into this southern part and middle part of North America and Central America and South America. They were coming a lot, and we talked about conquistadors before. We talked about um, Hernan Cortez, Francisco Pizarro trying to set up colonies and city states and things like that. And that posed a problem between the Spanish and the Portuguese. They both thought, well, hey, we discovered it, it's ours. But again, remember, there was already people there. But that's what they believed when they showed up. Well, if we can conquer these lands, they get to be ours. And they had the backing of their royalty to do that. So, because of that rivalry between Portugal and Spain, we have something coming out of it called the Treaty of Tordesillas. And what the Treaty of Tordesillas was, first of all, there was a first pope that drew a line that said, hey, half the world is yours, Spain, that's not already owned by Christian um, civilizations, and the other half is yours, Portugal. And then later on, Pope Julius II changed that line, and what he did at Tordesillas was drew this line around the earth and said, "Hey, Treaty of Tordesillas means Portugal, everything on the east side of the line you get." So this is where Brazil is now, and this part of South America. You see all the blue around Africa here, Portugal, that's all yours. You get to take it. You discovered it. Have fun with it. And everything west of that line becomes Spanish owned. So you can see here Mexico, parts of Southern America, South America here, and then in the Philippines here. So that Treaty of Tordesillas was decided upon to stop the conflict between the Portuguese and the Spanish. And, hey, guys, you get those parts of the world. Hopefully, you're thinking to yourself, well, that seems a little silly. They're just giving away other people's land that already lived there. And we're going to find out the repercussions of that as we go through the next week and into next week. Well, that's it for this lesson. So we'll see you next time.